Got a video for you today about a piece of equipment that I've been using for a good few months now. It's this Mofage TALOS friction arm. Really nice, really well engineered, some might say over-engineered piece of equipment, but it allows me to do certain things which traditionally you can do with friction arms, but I had stopped using friction arms to do these things because they just frustrated me, and I'd found other ways of like mounting monitors, for example, onto my cameras. So to start off with, a couple of the headline features of this. You can see at the moment we have two heads on that, and they have just 1/4-20s, and they actually have locating pins on as well, so you're going to be able to mount those into certain receivers that allow for that. But if you don't have the locator pins on whatever device you're hoping to mount this to, worry not, because these are actually spring loaded. I'm not sure if this is actually going to register particularly well, but yeah, I can just push them in. And that means that even if you're using this on something which perhaps doesn't have the locating slots in, you're still going to be able to use the friction arm. It doesn't mean that you've got to change out to a different head or anything like that. Now, the way that I would be using this, if I was building onto a camera rig, and I will point out that's not the only way that I'm actually using this, I would put it into one of the 1/4-20 holes on the top of my XLCS Designs cage just here. And once it's fastened in, then, you know, it's just going to flop around. And that's what I don't like about friction arms in general, is just how floppy and all over the place they are. And as soon as you get something on top of that which has a little bit of heft to it, well, it's going to flop around. It has the potential to damage itself. It has the potential to move when you don't want it to, and basically unbalance your rig or cause some kind of accident. So what I'm going to do is just lock that off a little bit now, and once it's locked off, it's going to stay in position. So far, so normal. Now, if I was to take this Axoon M7 Pro and put it on top just here, that actually does have, we'll point out just here if this will focus on it, that does have the locating pins. So I'm going to be able to slot that in, make use of those locating pins, which is nice. And then that means that the screen isn't going to rotate around. That can be a real frustration when you're using anything with just a standard 1/4-20. Some friction arms have like a concession to trying to make a little bit more friction by having a little bit more friction at the joint just there by having a rubberized finish. But I have found that that just ends up twisting gradually, and then also after a while I found with those it can sort of start to pull the rubber off because that's only glued in. So using them for a year or two, you do find that starts to happen. So if we have the locating pins, much prefer to be using those. Now, repositioning, I can undo it and I can move it around, and that's how you would normally use a friction arm to get to the point, Dale. Well, if it's locked off like this, it's actually got enough resistance to hold everything in place, but it won't actually stop you from repositioning and moving it around, so that it's actually going to make it really quite quick and easy to get it into a spot where you can see it. Now that might be that you're trying to just, you know, angle it ever so slightly that way to take some of the sunlight off it, or if you've got your lights and they're hitting the screen, you just want to reposition it. Or suppose that you're using it on a rig and you've got it positioned at a certain angle and you're actually quite low down. Well, you know, you just tip that screen back, put it into position there, and then you can be looking at the screen like this and getting a better view of it. Or if someone else is on this side, say we've got a focus puller or something and we want them to be able to see, well, we just take that screen and we just twist it around. Now, because we got the locating pins, you can actually twist it around from there and it's actually going to work quite nicely. Now, with all of this, you are not damaging the friction arm. If that was a traditional friction arm that just had the teeth that go into the main joint just there, then you would be kind of grinding them against each other. And yes, you might be able to reposition it, but gradually you are getting rid of the thing which is holding it in place. And eventually it is going to get to the point where it no longer holds its position with anything more than a very, very low weight on. With this arm, they have a sort of clutch based friction system here where I've locked it down enough that this isn't going to flop around, but it's still got enough give to allow me to reposition it in a kind of, I don't know, the word I want to say is malleable sort of way. I just squeeze and push and it gets it into the right position for me. If you do want to cinch something down a little bit hard, if you don't want it to move, then of course you can lock that down a little bit more tightly, and we've got a really nice metal lever just here, which is ratcheting, so you can move it around to a good position to get the best mechanical advantage for whatever angle you're using it in. And then when it's in that position, I mean, you kind of can still move it, but it really, God, it is a lot harder to actually move it when it's locked down. If we loosen it right off, you'll see the problem that we had with the traditional friction arm, which was once it's loose enough to move, then it just flops around, and you could quite easily be in a position where your monitor just hits down onto the camera cage or onto your tripod or onto a light stand and cracks the monitor, damages it, or just generally causes a little bit of a, oh my God, what was that? Something broke on set, which is never a nice feeling, you know, when something expensive hits something else expensive, everyone kind of looks at it and it doesn't look professional, shall we say. Now, the whole thing is fairly substantial, and I will say that in general, I don't, on my rigs, like having too much bulk up high. So what I found myself using this for, rather than actually positioning of monitors, although I could do that, and that is a legitimate use, I found myself using this for rigs where I'm actually doing things with cameras. So I could have a small camera mounted onto this, or a phone, and then have this attached to something else, and use that as like a snorri cam style POV rig. And what's nice about it is, whenever I've done that in the past with a friction arm, you need like 4 hands to be able to actually get it into position. You need someone holding the camera, you need someone holding the product, whatever it is you're trying to do the shot of, and then you need someone to be able to come in and lock it all off for you so that it holds that position. With this, I've been able to do it by myself, so I just get everything locked to a point where I can still maneuver it, and then I can really precisely position everything so that it is framed how I want it. The angle, the perspective is corrected, and then I can cinch it down once I'm done, but it's not going to be shifting around if I let go of it. So it's really nice for that kind of thing, and that's actually where I have found the most use for this Talos friction arm. They come in lots of different color schemes. Say lots, they come in 3 different color schemes. I have the silver, purple, green color scheme going on just here on my version. They also do a white and orange one, and I believe there is a black one as well. For me, the kind of industrial design of it reminds me a little bit, and the color schemes, of the Evangelions in Evangelion. So if you like that, then you'll like this. They do actually now have a couple of different heads that you can get for the tops just here. So if I turn that around, you'll see that at the top of the ball just here, there's a little kind of spigot coming up, and there's a little Allen key just there. That is going to allow you to take off this 1/4-20 and put on one of the others. But basically it means that you can customize your friction arm. So for example, on my rig just here at the top, I have a NATO rail on top. Now that might be a better way of me mounting this. If I want to be able to break it down quickly or move it from side to side, or maybe I just want to have it sit a little bit lower, whatever it is, I'll be able to get the NATO rail version, attach that to my friction arm just here, and then have that instead. If I wanted to mount a light like the X100 that I've got up here just lighting me at the moment, then having the baby pin receiver might be a better way of doing that. It's one of those pieces of equipment which I've had for a while and I've used a lot, but it's sort of underrated. I just kind of use it and don't think about it. So I kind of wanted to give it a shout out because Mofage are really interesting, really small company. They don't make tons and tons of different things. They also have the Poco adapter, which I have used and done a review of. It's a PL to, in my case, LMAT adapter, which allows you to put filters like ND filters, variable NDs, creative filters behind the lens. So I quite enjoy the way that the company operates, and I've chatted with them a lot. If you are interested, this is the Talos friction arm, so go and check them out and show them some love. So that is a Mofage Talos friction arm.